All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Thursday, July 15th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. As always, at this time of the day, welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check across the board. Make sure all of us live inside the trading room, all of us on social media, that you folks could hear me loud and clear. Should be good. I had a mic issue earlier, so if you might ask, like, why does he always ask that every time? Well, I like to make sure I'm good to go, right? Make sure that you folks could hear me. So great to see Norman, William, Gene, Frank, Martha, Raymond, all of our students and members alike inside Cyber Group, all of us on YouTube, all of us on Facebook Live. Welcome on back. So BBIG on the screen right now. I kind of turned over to it about like 5 minutes before I pressed start. That's all. So we missed a decent part of the run, or at least I did. I came back to my desk, right around 2:20 Eastern time. I worked the full day from home, so I wasn't in transit. I wasn't commuting, but nonetheless, I came back. I stepped away for a little bit, and hey, nice pop. This BBIG trade, if I'm not mistaken, is either a Bitcoin mining affiliated stock or an NFT stock. And if you're unfamiliar with all of that, I'll talk all about crypto at least come tomorrow to wrap up the week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll do that. NFT means non-fungible token. It's all the digital art stocks that we've been trading. If it is that, like TCAT, YVR, those are stocks that ended up moving earlier today. There's no news on this BBIG. I'm kind of just like taking my time to check. Nothing I really see, at least from today on Benzinga Pro. But for right now, beautiful move, right? From 310 essentially up towards high of the day, 388. I would assume for a major level to be off of 4. But, right now, and I wrote this in the room right before I started the meeting, it seemed like there was a top being built right around that 385 area. So since I wrote that, it dropped off just about 10 cents and probably going to, be a little bit more before it pushes back up. But for right now, I'll put this on our main watch list to begin. It's a nice looking stock on the chart, has tight spread, good liquidity on the order book. If you've been following me in the meeting any longer than a couple days, then you know that that's the type of stock that I like. In fact, a lot of the stocks that we'll be going through kind of look like this in terms of the order book. So let me get to a couple of those to begin. And, hey, talked about YVR just a second ago. And I always do this anyway. I like to be like Fausto and do a quick recap as far as like the best movers and then really work your way from top to bottom. But you know what? CIDM not only is a stock that's moving right now, that's looking pretty nice on the chart and has similar. Actually, this has a lot more volume. Looking at the order size altogether on the trade station matrix here, definitely even more volume compared to the BBIG. But for right now, a similar move up. So. Otherwise, yeah, CIDM we'll put on our watch list. I am in this position right now. I got 1,000 shares left. Cheap stock. So give me a quick sec. Cheap stock, also a long day of talking, so pardon me there. But CIDM, it's a cheap stock, and we were watching this from earlier. It was such a dud after the open. It really wasn't doing anything. And I figured it wasn't going to do much at first because it was trending down leading into the open. But otherwise, though, I'm thinking that, there's a chance that the stock can make a pretty sharp move up later on and, it's slow moving, but it might, make that run. So I'm not expecting 50 cents a pop here. And at this point, being in from 130, I'm still not expecting that, meaning for it to hit as high as 180. That would be pretty insane. But and I say that given how much volume is on the order book. So if there wasn't as much liquidity, then perhaps it would be easier for the stock to do so. But yeah, for right now, we'll put it on our list. A little reluctant to see this make a higher low. I'm still in the trade from the 130. I scaled out mostly at 144. There was like a 90,000 share print on the tape, probably like a market print that was filled from early on in the morning, right around 144. So that ended up becoming a bit of a level before the next pop here, and we'll see if that could become support. And I don't mind getting out there, if anything, again, just take my money and running. But yeah, otherwise we'll see. The CIDM we'll put on our list, BBIG also. And then the other one too, we were talking about YVR. This actually just leapfrogged the VERB trade. It's not doing much really. I was going to say it just leapfrogged if you just noticed that on the gainers side. This went from 3 to 2. It's probably because VERB's dropping off still. So we'll get to that next, Stephen. But number 2 now, the YVR stock. This, as I had said before, this is like the type of stock that's into the digital art, NFT, based on the Ethereum blockchain mainly. So, with that, you happen to see YVR make a big pop. TCAT was another stock that made a similar move. More erratic, this one. Ended up making a sharper run up from 7 up towards 850, ended up making another spike up going into 11 a.m. Eastern time from like $8 up to $9, and double top, and once the volume dies off, we say it all the time, folks. There's a reason, and this is for all of us really on social media, because if you're enrolled into our gold course, or even just in the phase one, if you listen to me, like really put your ear to it and listen, I have the same 5 or 6 lines or quotes all the time, right? It probably sound redundant and annoying to a couple of us, right? But I do it for a reason. Same song and dance on this as we have on YVR, as we have on a lot of these other stocks that are relatively lower float. So the last thing that we would want to have happen is for any of our newly enrolled students that are joining our courses, and committing themselves to studying our strategy, to, holding on to a big losing trade, right? I mean, we always say at the beginning to start off trading smaller share lot sizes and all that, but otherwise, just look what happened on this TCAT trade going back to the YVR stock. This one at least had more volume on the book, lower risk, unless if you were trading a lot of shares. But you probably had an easier time trying to get out of this stock, if anything. But same result, dropped off. Nice little bounce from 2, I guess, if you were jumping in there pretty quickly, right? But yeah, I mean, for the meantime, we'll pass on these. The VERB trade, I guess that's dropping off still at this point. Took a huge hit. I ended up taking a small loss just before. I had to average down, and I was hoping to break even, and I ended up just pulling the trigger. I'm pretty happy I did so, because I don't think I still don't think I would have been filled anyway. On this trade, I was looking for support. We saw this drop off really sharply going into the early afternoon, as you could see, from 390. It was making lower highs. I don't think it even kissed 4, topped off at even 397. So that's pretty significant, because, I mean, I guess it could have made a pop and drop too, broke above the iceberg at 4 and dumped right back down after. That I was expecting. But the fact that it only moved up to 397 goes to show that we have no buying interest at 4. There's zero. It's not even as if there's a little, right? So, they wanted this really pushed down, and that's why you ended up seeing it make just over a 75-cent drop off here, just about, right? Roughly. I was looking for support around 340-ish. I wrote that as early as like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the afternoon. I forgot the time. But, I ended up taking a small loss. I ended up jumping in at 342 or 341, and it ended up pulling back quickly on me. And I was looking to average down. So, man, this ended up dropping off a lot more than I thought it was going to. So, thankfully, I survived on a small loss. I ended up getting averaged out at, or average price at 338, average price out or total out at 334. So it is what it is, but this thing is on the way down still at this point. So perhaps we'll see it make a bounce off of 3. Perhaps it just keeps going. For as much as it ran up from today and yesterday and even the past week altogether, we see a lot of these stocks begin to totally dump off. Look what happened on the ALF trade, right? I can go through the whole list if you really want me to, but nonetheless, though, it's just the same old thing, right? So, perhaps we'll check in on VERB at the end of the meeting. Perhaps there's some life on that at around 3. That would be interesting, maybe. But we'll see what else we got. Here, let me get the price column out here and just kind of skip over the cheapies, the real expensive ones. AACG. This one ended up making a wacky move up. I mean, look at the chart. It's like schizo. Just up and down, up and down, up and down. And, really ended up just getting halted on the way up. I think it got halted on the way down. And again, another Josh line for all of us here. When it gets halted on the way down, that's a wrap. That's game over. That's it. And, what I mean by that is it's going to make a really sharp drop off. Probably won't bounce for a long time. And, it took over an hour for the stock to even make a small bounce here from like 360 up to 390-ish. But right now, I'm not too interested in this thing. It's not looking that great. This one, I'd say the same thing, honestly. I mean, it looks like a new IPO. Cheap stock for an IPO. Traded 6.6 mil on day 1, and today 5. All right, that's not bad, but in terms of the volume total, but you'd wish to see more volume on the book. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not really like too needy to put this on our list right now. We'll see what else we got. Maybe we'll check back in with this at the end if it pops. All right, there's our TCAT trade. We're going to just jump that now at this point. Man, bunch of stocks I'm not really too familiar with. Like, really, I'm kind of like skeptical of the gainer side right now, really. I mean, here's the thing. I don't, if you're looking at the market today, you know that the SPY's down. It was breaking lower going into the afternoon. It just bounced a moment ago, but I would imagine for there to be more stocks down. That's no surprise, but I would like to see at least a couple familiar names on the gainer side here. Here's one, Ride, RIDE, Lordstown Motors. This and Workhorse ended up both making a bit of a move up today. About time, because I think it was a couple days ago where they ended up making a flash pop this time of the day in the afternoon. Go back on the afternoon meeting, probably back on Tuesday the 13th, and probably see me go nuts about it there. Really, they ended up completely dumping off after. It was really disappointing. But, for what it's worth, ended up both running up this morning. We weren't really watching them in pre-market, but they ended up making the pop. A couple of us, like Lewis and maybe Bill, if I'm not mistaken, if not someone else, I'm sorry, ended up calling it out right away. We were able to take, a good chunk of this trade on the way up, right around reversal time, 10:30-ish, a little bit before, made the lower high after, ended up making that kind of a top and reversal, right? So, no surprise there. They remain tradable, I guess. I don't really feel a need again. Same thing. Maybe I'll check back and on Ride at the end. All right, that might just about wrap it up on the gainer side here. mRNA, pretty expensive, but I just want to check it out. We've been following this, of course, since the pandemic started. $260, that's pretty insane. First, and then secondly, it's just all-time highs. So, hey, it's at your discretion if you're looking at this as maybe even more of an options play than anything to do like some sort of call on it. But otherwise, I don't know, and there's no need to day trade a stock this expensive. Carve. All right, we'll hop over to the loser side. I'm probably more interested seeing what's on this side of the field. Let's see, no class this afternoon. We're all done with webinars for the week, I believe. I hope so, I think. But otherwise, yeah, we'll take our time here now at this point. You might not need much time if we're being honest with each other here. MRIN, familiar name, looking pretty bad here. It's floating around 10. If you're hopeful for a bounce, that would be an interesting price level to think about, but order book doesn't really look too enticing. XXII, familiar name, probably slow mover. Eesh, I don't know what happened there. Looks like a big drop, a pennant forming perhaps on the 1 minute. All right, so there's probably a lot of stocks down still, like, more than 5%, folks. I'm going to flip my Benzinga over to show the loser side as far as like stocks like real-time breaking lows of the day first. So let me do that to begin, and then I'll finish up my part of the scan. I'll toss it over to you, and we'll see what else we got. Actually, you know what? I'll treat you. Let's see. I'm not going to do this every time, but sometimes I don't have the time to do it every day. Let me just do a little of this. There we go. So we'll show you live here. See what we got. ASTR is a runner from the other day or week. I'm not interested in that name. Atos is a familiar name. That's at the low of the day here at 2:41 Eastern time. Current time actually 2:43. But otherwise, let's see. Maybe I need a reload. I don't know if it's stuck. Yeah, system failed maybe. Let's see. There we go. All right, Atos still, HUSA. We ended up trading that from yesterday. Still, though, not a whole lot of stocks that are like at the lows, at least for right now. So, you know what? Hey, if there's anything that you see that you would want me to look at in total, I mean, probably more down than up, but let me know if there's anything that you see as like a good day trade going into the final hour of the market day. Atos short. Mitch was, yeah, there you go, Mitch. I just looked right over to my YouTube chat. I'll give our friend Mitch C the credit here. And this is dropping off really nicely. Yeah, and it is shortable on TradeStation. Probably was jumping up the losers list as I was like wrapping up here from this side. So Atos, yeah, right now number 11. So I guess it was jumping up here over the last couple minutes. Cool. You know what? We'll just check out Benzinga Pro just to see what the news is here really quick. And unfortunately, no news. No news on this. Let's see. Yeah, unusual options activity, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to go into that right now, but that's all I see. From Dan, he was asking about the CARV trade, CARV, unless if that popped up really well over the last like 2 minutes. I just checked that out. Just not really looking that great otherwise. Yeah, it's like pushing up maybe like 50 cents, but not much going on. AMC climbing off 33.40 bounce. Jeff saying slow. Let's see. AMC tradable stock at least. AMC up 4%. Yeah, you know what? I don't mind putting more of a spotlight on this right now. Yeah, you're right. It's pretty tradable. Great volume on the order book. It's at least easier to read in that regard. I would assume for there to be a big resistance off of 35 if there hasn't already been one that got filled. Let's see. It kissed 35 here at 2:43 Eastern. Let's see. This thing trades so much damn volume. You had Prince filled at 35. It's really tough to show you right now because this thing's trading God knows how many shares across the day. It's like flying right now. So, yeah, good call. I'll put this on our list. I'll check in on BlackBerry, which would probably be a bit slower of a I hate this name. I hate this label. A meme stock. That's just a personal thing. I don't know. Like, just I feel like that group has like 11 million people in that channel, so it's never reliable to just use Reddit to try and follow these things. You have to be a part of our trading room to really know how to do it all. But either way, you know, this is making a small bounce, not nearly as enticing as AMC at least. All right, let's wrap it up, folks. I think that's just about it. If there's anything else, go once, go twice. VERB here starting to push back up, I guess. XELA ended up making a mini run up from like 320 up to 350-ish. I ended up wasting a trade on that just before I was in from 321, and I ended up getting like 3 cents on the trade. It was going nowhere when I was in it. Right place, wrong time, right? BBIG starting to move up, Norm. All right. Well, you know what? I'll call it then because this is already on our list. We got 4 stocks so far. Not too bad. You know, it's not like we're, you know, a couple days recently over the last, week and a half, 2 weeks. I ended up going through the whole damn gainers and losers list. And I looked down at my notepad at the end and I'm like 0 stocks written down. So, at least we got a couple stocks to start off with here. I do like Atos on the way down. AMC I do like in general and hopefully is a nice runner bouncing back up. BBIG looks strong on the way up. And I'm still in on CIDM on my 1,000 shares left. I took a really large chunk out earlier. So, I'm hopeful on this. If it doesn't end up making that pop, I'm content. I'm fine with that. All right, folks, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, it's been a long day of talking for myself. I appreciate you sticking with my dry mouth here. But otherwise, make sure to like, subscribe, notify right on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/cybertradingyou. Otherwise, feel free to join us live inside our trading room if you've yet to do so. I know that we have a bunch of new trial members joining us from today's event, from Well 365 yesterday. We had Bookmap on our Closing Bell webinar series. We had a couple from there. So a bunch of new members joining us here today and across the week. Welcome on aboard if you're new. And keep in mind, as a new trial member, I would personally suggest do not trade our picks until you're properly trained and educated on our strategy. Then you'll never really be able to appreciate our call outs, at least, right? It's more or less you kind of just using your strategy and more kind of perhaps gambling, if anything. All right. So, I would sit back, just kind of observe, see if this is, just something that you could do, something that you could potentially do at least. And then, then from there, we'll talk. All right. For all of us on social media, as always, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every afternoon. I'll talk to you folks soon. Take care.